Namaste and welcome back to the Turning Point series. Our speaker for today absolutely needs no introduction because she's someone who continues to enthrall audience worldwide through her music. Smt.Bombay Jayashri, born into a family of musicians with rich lineage and steeped in pedigree music, she represents the fourth generation of music practitioners in her family. Her ability to absorb subtle different nuances of music of different types has created a style of music which is uniquely her own. In her voyage as a cultural ambassador of India's rich heritage, Jayashri Ma'am has performed extensively in India and abroad in the most prestigious fora, drawing critical acclaim wherever she has performed. Hitam Trust, an initiative started by Bombay Jayashri Ma'am, is born out of her deep desire to make a difference to society through the medium of music. In the last 12 years, Ma'am, along with her students, has been working to take music to rural schools and differently abled individuals. For her contribution to the field of music, Bombay Jayashri Ma'am has been honored with Padma Shri Award from the Government of India, Kalai Mamani Virudu from the Government of Tamil Nadu, among several other honors and accolades. I would like to welcome Bombay Jayashri Ma'am, along with the curator of the series, Srimati Vaijayanti Kashi.
Welcome to the show, Jayashriji. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today as part of the Turning Point series, which is an ongoing online series to inspire in the challenging times that we are all going through.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Vaijayanti.
Virtue is the strong stem of man's nature, and music is the blossoming of that virtue. To be the celebrated musician of our country, I'm sure you must have had several turning points in your career. Can you please share with us some of these strong points? One or two, maybe?
Like you said, Vaijayanti, there were many turning points. There were many very important people who kind of guided me where I needed it the most. But I would like to cite here two very important ones. One was when I was in school and I was participating in a inter-school cultural festival, and I did not have anyone to accompany me on the harmonium. And there was a very kind-hearted soul who I later learned was a very great guru, and he said, बेटा आपके पास कोई बजाने के लिए कोई नहीं है हारमोनियम या तबला? तो I said, नहीं, मैं ऐसे ही आई हूँ, मैं यूं ही गा दूंगी. Then he said, नहीं आप. He had heard me sing in the green room, so he said, नहीं, मैं संगत करता हूँ आपके साथ. So I just said thank you, and I didn't know who he was, how great he was. His nephew was also participating, so he accompanied his nephew and me. And later, it so happened that I won the prize in the cultural festival, and that great person went on to becoming my guru, Pandit Shri Vishwaprakash Jaipurwali. So he almost adopted me like a child and showed me the path of Hindustani music. I learned from K. Mahavirji, his older brother, later. So that was one turning point, how the universe designs something very important and very unexpected. The second was how I came under the guidance, the big grand umbrella of my Guru ShriLalgudi Jayaraman. That was also just chance meeting in Bombay. I was at his concert and there was no place to even stand. Somehow I got a place between the first row chairs and the stage itself, almost like if he had extended the bow of his violin, it would have touched my nose. That was how close I was sitting, and something changed forever inside me that evening. Everything that I had learned, everything that I had acquired from my parents, who were my first teachers, my other gurus, Suddenly all the music had gone and done a Pada Puja at his feet. And I was praying through the rest of the concert if I can just like become something like a small piece of something and go inside his violin box and be with him all my life. I don't know what it was. Again, it's divine design. And later, he was very gracious enough to accept me as as his student. So I think these two turning points, the importance of the guru is what I'm stressing here. How they showed me the way and how they continue to handhold me, even now, even if they're not around in a sukshma way, in a sukshma rupa, they're still holding me. I hear from them all the time.
Amma, can you please unmute yourself?
Sorry. Uh, I think because you were so sensitive and you had that longing that the cosmic answered it.
Maybe, yeah.
Your
Bless.
parents were your first guru, as you also said. And what is it like it to be, to have a parent as your guru and a guru as your guru? What were the differences, or how would you explain this?
So my mother was responsible for everything that I learned. Initially, my father, and then my mother. And I think my mother just took the role of being a very strict teacher, a disciplinarian. And since she had to take that role on, I think to a great extent, and she had to sacrifice her role as being able to play the mother. Because if she cajoled me and then if she let me had my way, then she would not won't be able to wake me up at 4 in the morning and say practice and say till 7 you have to practice, otherwise you can't go to school, you can't play. So all that she did at that time, when I look back now, I'm only grateful. But when I was a child, I used to rebel. I used to cry and I used to tell her, why are you doing this to me? Why are you not letting me be like other girls? Why are you not letting me play? But the fact that I could ask these questions to her was because I was a daughter. So I think to play that role of the way my mother did is a very, very, I am very blessed, though I may not have understood the importance of what it meant when I was a child. With my guru, when I came to him, I was in my early 20s. And like I told you, that listening to him, that experience had changed something for me forever. And at that time, when I in my early 20s, when I came to him, I would wait for dawn to come back. I would hate the night because when it was dawn, I would go back to class. And if the class time is over, I'd feel very sad to come back home. I just wanted to be and soak in that music of how he was deepening the world of music for me, how he was deepening my love for it, and how he was telling me that if I work hard, if I understand, if I'm sincere, he told me once, you just have to go a few steps. After that, Saraswati Devi will just hug you. So the way he interpreted the values of music, of discipline, of rigor, was something I craved for. So they were opposite worlds. With my mother, I was very ignorant, very childish. Though I did do what she said, with my guru, I never wanted it to end, those moments.
Amma, you'll have to unmute yourself.
By the pictures and the photographs that I have seen of Lalgudi ji, he looks a very firm, strong personality. And even to sit and probably in his presence would be such a strong thing for me. His aura is so strong. Was he, as a guru, as powerful, or he was?
He was all pervading, my Jayanti, a combination of being very powerful, a strict disciplinarian, someone who didn't want anything but perfection. If he intended to teach you like he taught me, he did that because he had already then made a secret pact that you will do 200% hard work. Without saying much, he would have said it, and that means no compromise on hard work. The atmosphere in the room was such that you could not go and sit there or stand there without having really worked too hard. Because if he kind of could make out a little less practice or little hard work, his eyes will be full of tears. In the same way, if you worked hard and if you showed sincerity, and even if it was less perfect and not up to what he wanted, he would still have tears because you were sincere, because you were hardworking. So, by saying very less, but by showing when I went to him, he would still wake up at 4 in the morning and practice. The days that I got to spend the nights in his home, along with many other students, we would be woken up by his 4 a.m. practice, and he would not put the bow down till 7:30 in the morning. So he led by his life. He showed us what it is to be a sadhaka all his life, what it is to go on perfecting and polishing and not rest thinking that you have. He told me once, the day you think that you know it, you're finished as a student. So, by these very, very minimal words, but with a lot of love and affection, but like you said, he was a disciplinarian and a perfectionist, and we couldn't give him anything less than hard work and sincerity.
You have had the privilege of singing in the Rashtrapati Bhavan and Queen Elizabeth's Hall. Can you share those experiences? Because even just thinking of the Rashtrapati Bhavan or standing in, when I stand and look at it, there is some power that just gets into my system.
True.
And in the Queen Elizabeth's Hall, can you share those experiences?
Like you said, it's very humbling. And while it's very humbling, I used to always standing there, thank my stars, and just pray and feel that I'm representing all my gurus, all the gurus I have learned from, all the several gurus that have donned the world of art in India. Even when I went to Queen Elizabeth Hall to perform, I was thinking there were so many musicians who have blessed me. There are so many musicians who have performed on that stage, Queen Elizabeth. So there's so much vibration there in that space that even if I just start singing, something seems to take care of the rest of the music. You start, you put your effort, but because of the vibrations of the greatest musicians from all of the world who have performed on that stage, I think all those blessings and all that beautiful vibrations support you, and it makes your music look very, very good as well. But it's very, very humbling, and I'm only very, very grateful to my gurus, my parents, and so many of my co-musicians who have supported in me in my concerts, that I was able to perform in such grand venues.
Was it the same when you presented it in Rashtrapati Bhavan?
Rashtrapati Bhavan is that feeling of being a proud Indian. You know, every time I hear the Vande Mataram, every time I sing the Janagana Mana, whether it's a solo or whether it's as part of a school function or at whatever age I've sung, something goes down my bloodstream that, oh my, this thing that I'm Indian, I'm part of this beautiful country, so much culture, so much beauty, so much to soak in. Everything that I have in my DNA, my genes, my body is Indian. So that was an overwhelming feeling when I sang in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, to be there at that pinnacle of that frontier of that great, great building that India represents.
I didn't hear you. I was not a part of the audience there, but then the way you're expressing it with your bhava right from your heart, I can just feel it. So,
Thank you.
in your younger days, you've learned Bharatanatyam as well, and you have done theatre too. How would you, as a musician, bring out the Navarasa through your voice? And also, I believe that every musician is a dancer as well, because it's your fingers, it's your power, and that's why when great photos are captured of this musician, it's a lifetime picture. Can you sing something which will bring out the Navarasas along with your beautiful facial expressions?
I don't know about facial experience. Yes, I did go to Rajarajeshwari Natikala Mandir in Bombay, and my classes were in Chembur, and I learned from Mahalingam sir. And as a child, most of my friends used to learn this beautiful art form, Bharatanatyam. And Bharatanatyam, I think, makes any girl, any child look even more beautiful, talk even more beautiful, walk even more beautiful, because it's such a graceful form of art. And then I feel you come in terms with a part of your inner self, which maybe you may have lost out. I feel if you don't learn some form of dance, then you don't know yourself well. I tell all or whoever young parents who have daughters and sons as well, I say, please tell your child to learn, take your child to a dance class, to a Bharatanatyam class, or whatever, kuchipudi or whatever. I think it's a culture which we cannot afford to miss. It's so much around us. Why should we miss that out? As much as one wants to learn music, one must learn dance, I think. So I will sing something. I don't know about the Navarasas, but I feel the rasas in my heart. I was taught by my gurus to feel the music, to feel every little rasa that exists. Shri Mata Shri Maharagni Chidagnikunda Sambhuta Devakari Samudhyata Udyadvanu Sahasrabha Chaturbahu Samanvita Ragaswarupa Pashadya Krodhakaram Kushojwala Shrimata 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 Shrimata.
Thank you so much. I truly feel that the music field got you, and the dance field, we lost you. But then, as you sing, I feel your entire system dancing, and that's so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You have collaborated with the symphony orchestra. How would you differentiate between Carnatic music and the symphony orchestra?
I participated with the Finnish Symphony Orchestra and the Chamber Avanti Finland Orchestra at the invitation of a very great composer called Eero Hämeenniemi. He's one of the most celebrated composers, writers, pianists in Finland. He's someone who has frequented Chennai and India for 30 years. Every December, every Margari, he's in Chennai. And he can speak Tamil, he can read and write classical Tamil. He reads the old epic Tamil verses. In fact, he pointed me to the old Sangam literature, which I was not aware of. So, at his invitation, I collaborated with the Finnish orchestra in a piece composed by him, where I sing our music, I sing Indian classical music as a dialogue with the Finnish orchestra. So it was a very, very great experience. From 2008, I went there. I kept going year after year in their summer to collaborate with them on different productions composed by him, different pieces written by him. Initially, it was their way of looking at music, their sign language, their concept of tala, their concept of melody, harmony, everything was new to me. I had to learn from the scratch as to how to take cues when I sing in a collaborative effort. It took me a very long time to learn, and they were very, very patient with me, and they taught me. It took several months for me to understand their language. And then what started in 2008 went on and on for many, many years.
In the audio autobiography of Wings of Fire of our former President of India, Shri APJ Abdul Kalam, you have sung an Annamacharya, a shloka or kirtana, right?
Yes.
Can you share that with us, please?
Yeah, I think our President, Honorable President Abdul Kalam sir, was such an inspiration, continues to be an inspiration. He was a unique man who touched our hearts, who ignited our minds and led so many, continues to lead so many on the path that he so beautifully tread. So this was the audio autobiography was created and produced by Carnatic Tales. It's called Wings of Fire. And at the behest of Vishwanath Parshram and Shobha Vishwanath, I rendered Nanati Bhartuku Natakamu and also a Tirukural, which was very relevant when they narrated the story of Abdul Kalam sir.
Can you sing that for us, if you don't mind?
Sure, sure. నాటి బ్రతుకు నాటకము నాటి బ్రతుకు నాటకము కానద కైనది కైవల్యము నాటి బ్రతుకు నాటకము నాటకము నాటకము. This is a very famous verse of Annamacharya, and I think it truly depicts the life of our honorable, respected, great Kalam sir.
Thank you, Jayashri. How has your upbringing impacted your approach to music? Because when I read some of your article, your biography, I hear that your mother exposed you to various kinds of music.
Yes.
So
my mother was she was an absorber for beauty of different kinds. She would play Lata Mangeshkar songs for us. She would tell me that she grew up in Kozhikode in Kerala, and she repeatedly told us how Vaijayanti Mala had visited the village, and she would tell me, Vaijayanti, when she turned and walked, I would see her long plaited hair, and it was like a chate. Chate is, it's a kind of a thing that people use. It's like a rope. And then she would say there was so much beauty in her eyes. So my mother always appreciated beauty. If she were to see a film, a black and white film in television those days in a friend's house, she would come back and tell me about some scenes. And she would say, Wahida Rahman, it looks so beautiful. She's acted so well. So, for someone who came from a village, she was someone who absorbed all kinds of beauty. And she showed my siblings, my brothers, and I beauty in different forms, whether it was music, whether it was dance, whether it was theater. So she was constantly exposing us to all kinds of music, different languages. And she was not someone who believed that Carnatic classical music is all is one you have to hear. You can listen to Hindi music, you can listen to folk music. She made me learn ghazal. If she heard a Marathi song, she would immediately look for a Marathi music teacher and put me in that class and say, "Can you please teach my daughter some Marathi songs?" So this was a kind of thing she appreciated all the time. And she was very open-minded and liberal. And I think that is very important, that it kind of created a foundation for me to look at all music as the same and to appreciate the beauty. Not only did she open our minds to other forms of beauty, she made us learn it. She would make us practice it. So if I would sing Bhairavi or Kalyani Ragam for 2 hours, then she would tell me, remember you heard that ghazal on radio? Now sing that for half an hour. So for me, in my mind, there was no difference. I had to practice all forms of music, give each the importance of practice, which is what it is. She never took anything very lightly, saying that this is bigger music, this is smaller music, this is bigger art, this is smaller art. Nothing of that sort.
That's so wonderful. And I also read that the Ranjini Varnam, which you learned it even when you were as young as 3 years, and which she was teaching for seniors, and that was so nice to read that.
So Vaijayanti, both my parents loved music, my father and my mother. So from morning 7 a.m. till I went to sleep, there will be students in the house and they will be singing all the time. So one doesn't realize that before one can actually speak a language properly, a lot of music has gone in. And I think that's a very big blessing that I've had. And I'm sure similarly you would have had, and many of us, to have parents who soak you in the art before they teach you how to stand up and talk and walk and read and write. So I might have just picked up some varnams listening to some of the students sing, and I think playfully I was singing that varnam. And I think when she heard me sing that, she said, "Oh, okay, my daughter can sing. She has a voice now. Let me put her on a disciplined approach." So that's how the Ranjini Varnam led to the rest of the learning and training.
Lovely. Hitham Trust is an initiative started by you to make a difference to the society, which is so important. Can you please share something about it?
Vaijayanti ji, so for a long time, I think again it comes from the fact that I was part of Bala Vihar as a child. They say that what you do in the first 10 years, or the people who impact you in those 10 years by what they do, how they do, is what later in your life you end up doing. So it all comes back. And I used to think that if I wake up in my house and I can hear my amma sing, or my appa practicing, or my brothers practicing, why shouldn't everybody have this in their life? So naturally, I started engaging with children from different parts of our country. You know, when I went to a village called Manjakuri, in the morning of the concert, we were just taking a stroll, my students and I. And there was a class there in a government Tamil medium school, and the children were reciting Tirukural. And it was so charming to see those village faces, innocent and just loudly saying the Tirukural. Then I told the teacher, "Can I sing one song for them? I want to see what they do." She said, "Yeah, please come in." And I sang a small Tamil Bharatiyar song, and immediately the children, their eyes all lit up, and they immediately repeated it. They didn't write it down, but they knew in another 20 minutes, they knew the song by heart. So I was thinking, is this what it is, so absorbing, so they could grasp it, they didn't write it down. And when I left the class, the whole class came to see me off. So that really touched me and my students. And And then one thing led to the other, and then we went back and told the school that we'll come and teach them often. So we went week after week, and we've continued to go for 7 years now. And there are 300 beautiful children who sing so beautifully. And every time we go to Manjakudi and hear them sing or share music and come back, I feel I have learned to become a better human being. I'm a better musician. I'm a better student. I learned so much from so many mistakes that I continue to do. I learned to look at life. I learned to be grateful for what I have. I learned to make use of what I have even more. So I always come back learning 100 things from there in the pretext that I'm going to share music with them. So it's actually what I have continued to, my students and I have continued to receive from Manjakudi.
Through this, I think, a discussion of 30 minutes, so many times I had goosebumps because whatever you're speaking is just right from the heart. Thank you for that. Because we always think this media is something which cannot touch hearts. But wherever the heart is, if it's true, I think it can touch. And thank you for sharing such beautiful experiences.
Thank you. I
Pratiksha,
appreciate it so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Usually, there are a lot of questions from the viewers who would like to ask you a few things. Are you okay to on a few questions? There is Siddharth who's asking you, how can a young practitioner of music begin to explore spirituality through the medium of Indian classical dance, of music, Indian classical music?
Spirituality is a very, very big subject, Siddharth, and I don't know if I'm qualified enough to even begin talking about it. But when I practice, when I learn, when I hear my children in Manjakudi, when I teach my students in Chennai, when I see a beautiful dance performance, when I see a beautiful theatre performance, there are moments when I completely forget myself. And there are moments, because of the training and because of maybe the samskara, for want of a better word, or maybe that is the word, I'm able to resonate with that artist's performance, with that beauty that the artist is able to emanate. And for me, in my small world, this is what is spirituality. To be one with the art so much that I don't know if I'm sitting or standing or I'm singing or an experience. But sometimes there is a little tear flowing from my eyes, or sometimes there is just a smile, or there are just goosebumps. I think for me that moment is spirituality, and that you can experience in music. If you're a student of music, just sing every day, day after day after day after day. Some compositions, watch beautiful dance performances, watch beautiful forms of art. Art will move you, and art will take you to that path that leads to what you're calling spirituality, perhaps.
Thank you, ma'am. Um, Nambiarji from Kerala, he gives you his pranam, and he also he has a question. He says, "Ma'am, I saw a video in which you sing with your elder brother.
Mm-hmm.
Such a bhava and devotion in his rendition. It'll be nice if you can share a few words about him and the musical experiences with him." Humble pranams.
Sure. I have two elder brothers. They're Balraj and Sabesh. The one that you see on the video, his name is Sabesh Anna. And he has learned music from our guru Srimati T.R. Balamani when we lived in Bombay for several years. And then he had to pursue his academics. But he is in the position of a guru in my life. He teaches me, continues to teach me, continues to critique me. If I sing something, if I have a performance, and if he gives me 5 out of 100, which is the most that he has given me, then I consider myself as okay, I have worked towards something proficient. So that is the role he plays. He's a very intuitive and beautiful musician, and I'm very, very fortunate to have a brother like him. I'm very fortunate to have an older brother in Baraj who's in Bombay who then critiques both our works, my brother Sabesh and I. So, like I said, we grew up with music around us, so it hasn't escaped any member of the family. It's music everywhere.
Lovely, ma'am. Gatam Giridhar Udupanna also has a question for you. He asks, at this stage of your life, how do you define sadhana?
Welcome, my dear Giri, my dear Udu. Sadhana. I like the word sadhana, and even to say sadhana is such a beautiful thing. How do I define sadhana? Is again, I can only quote what my guru said to me, Giri. He told me that if you sing a composition 100 times, you start knowing the composition. If you sing it 200 times, you start knowing it better. But when you start singing it the thousand and one time, then the composition glows. There will be a tej in the composition, a tejas. Whether it's a composition or whether it's a chittiswara or a varnam or an alapana or a ragam. So sadhana is nothing but just counting the number of times you do. And for my own sake, I compare it with the japamala. When I was a child, I used to see these older men and women. They used to just do the japamala and they'll just say the same word, maybe Ram Ram or Ram Hare Krishna. I don't know what they don't even say it loudly. And I used to think, how do they do it every day, all the time, without getting bored? And what is it that makes them do that? It is that faith that they have that if they do it, it is going to be well-being in the universe and not for their own purpose or anything. So for me, in my mind, I always remember that Gujarati granny in our building. We used to call her Ba. And she used to permanently be sitting. She won't speak. She'll just sit with that. So I think, Giri, for us at this stage, sadhana is to just start with Aditala, Tattomnam maybe. Start with the matra and start with Varavina and sing it again and again and again and again. So much that it forms, it creates every beautiful karma for us and it becomes part of us for many janmas.
Uh, Pavamana is asking, as a parent, what can parents do to ensure that kids get motivated to practice on a daily basis?
It's the parent, it's the teacher, it's a combination of what are the other things your child is doing during the day. I think to begin with, you should have a kind of a strict timetable. 9 to 10 in the morning, if it means practice, then nothing else can be done. And then the 9 to 10 can be made an hour and a half, it can be made 2 hours. But that time, you don't trade for anything else. And if you should explain to the child, you tell the child, you wake up in the morning and you get what you want to drink. You have your breakfast, you have lunch, everything there's a time. There's a bedtime, there's a playtime. This is a time. As a child, nobody will understand the value of practice. It is up to a parent to instill that with a mixture of affection and strictness. You cannot be an over affectionate parent and yet be strict. You're doing it for the good of your child, so the child will never know the importance. This is my humble opinion and my belief that you have to be very strict with the practice hours. The next question is from 9 to 10, they're practicing, but their mind is not there. They're thinking of other things. They're crying, they're rebelling. Never mind. But they're doing it. Even if 0.1% some sadhanas happened, it'll be fine. And when you do it every day, the child itself will suddenly one day wake up and say, oh, I'm able to sing this better. I'm able to play this better. I'm able to do this better. Once that bug catches the child, I'm sure the child will never stop doing it. But yet you have to be with your child so that he or she continues to do it for a very long time. Even today, my mother, asks me in a conversation call, she'll have 3 questions to ask me. And the most important question will be, did you practice today? So this is not about me. This is about her. How she, even today, she asks me this question. So there are times when I feel, why is she asking me this? I mean, in this time also should I? But then when I go to bed, I know that tomorrow Amma's going to ask me this. So let me finish that sadhana for today. So at least maybe out of fear, out of respect, out of love, but your child will do it. But as a parent, you have to play that role to push your child to practice and then make him or her love the music, which will eventually happen.
Thank you, ma'am. Guru Raj is asking if you can please share experiences working with T.M. Krishnana for Margazi Ragam album.
Margari Ragam was in 2007. It was produced by 3 very passionate people in the arts field. One is Shrikant, who produced it for Agal Films. One is Jayendra, the director, my dear friend. And it was cinematographed by the great P.C. Sriram sir. And the audio engineering was done by Sridhar sir. And all these people made this dream possible of creating a concert which was digitized to the best quality, which was photographed, cinematographed with the best film, because I think it was a kind of a documentation of how a concert needs to be in terms of audio, how you look at it, how the lights are. So, working with TM Krishna on this beautiful Margari Ragam video was a very unique experience for us and for all the co musicians who were part of it.
For someone starting at the age of 20, what should be the outline to learn Indian classical music, be it vocal or instrumental?
First of all, don't even for a minute think that you started late. Never think. You have started at 20, beautiful. Then try and give as much as time you can listening to music. Listening is a very important form of learning, practicing whenever you can. The only thing is you have to double up your work time because you may have missed doing it earlier. But practice sadhana, hearing, learning from the guru, all of this is very important.
Sarayu Ram asks, ma'am, who is your idol? What qualities do you look up to in them?
There are several people who I look up to, and constantly I keep finding more new people whom I should look up to. Of course, my guru, my gurus, my parents, some small child in Manjukudi, a child with autism who speaks nothing but the truth to me. In a session in autism, I asked Pranav, who was 9 years old, Pranav, will you practice every day now that I've taught you? He said, I cannot promise. So this is what all of us think, but we don't know to say it honestly. So honesty, every day I find someone who's showing me a new form of truth, something that I've not learned before. But idols in the music field, in the arts field, there are so many. Whom do I leave out? Whom do I point out? There are way too many who have done everything possible already in the field of art.
Ma'am, we generally end a session with a rapid round of questions, if I may ask.
Sure.
Ma'am, I've read that you grew up listening to Sangeet Sarita on radio,
Mm-hmm.
where one chosen raga would be rendered in Hindustani and Carnatic styles, as well as also in the film songs.
Right.
So, what was that one raga that caught your attention as a child when you were listening to the show?
Charukeshi.
Okay, thank you. Can you share one experience from your school days?
School. I remember bunking school because I had to go to be part of a music competition. And I had not prepared enough because it was a shloka competition and I had to recite some shlokas from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita and then follow it up with a Sanskrit composition. So I didn't go to school that day. But the next day when I came back, I found it very awkward to tell my friends that I had gone for a Bhagavad Gita competition. So I told them I was not well. And then one of my friends came and said, "Why are you lying? You and I were at the Bhagavad Gita competition." So I didn't talk to her for some days for showing me, but that day she taught me to be proud of what I do. I won't be worried that some friends might make fun of me if I said Bhagavad Gita. So I learned that very early in life, oh, because I said a lie and because my friend showed the lie to the other friends.
Oh, nice. You have spent most of your growing up years in Mumbai,
Yeah.
which is as a city known for its food as well. So, what is your best out place in Mumbai? What was, what is?
There used to be a small shop in Chembur where I grew up, near the Chembur station, and it used to be called Gupta Bhel Puri.
Okay.
And whenever my mother allowed me to have bhel puri, which was very, very rare, that was the place I would always dream about having bhel puri in.
What has been your favorite film song?
It's a Hindi song sung by Lata Mangeshkar. Lag Ja Gale is is the
Yeah.
song. I'm sure all of you know it.
Can you sing a line of that, please?
Of course. लग जा गले के फिर ये हसी रात हो न हो शायद फिर इस जन्म मुलाकात हो न हो लग जा गले ये
Once again, another goosebump. Thank you.
Uh, Favorite music director that you have had, you have so far collaborated with?
Ilayaraja sir.
Can you name us a good friend of yours from the music fraternity?
Many, if I leave out some, the rest might feel Giridhar Udupa.
Okay, that's nice. Ma'am, you have composed songs for dance productions and for dancers as well, like Chitraka, Leela Sampson, Alarmel Wali Ma'am, and so many others. So, which has been the best experience so far in this regard?
Um, Pratiksha, I consider each of them my guru. That I got to collaborate with them is my good fortune. But I can only say pranam to them now. While I was working, even before I started working, I knew that I'll come out of that experience feeling that I want more of this. So much I have learned from being with Chitraji or Valyaka or Leelaka, the way they visualize art, the way they um, I feel it's multi-dimensional, as a dancer. Like if in music, if I took a phrase and did many times, I did Neraval, what you call Sanchari. But the same thing when I look at the way the dancer looks at it in a multi-dimensional way, how to depict that in bhava, how to use the mudras, how to gesture, how to keep the body. Is it the side profile? Is it a movement? Is it running? Or is it not being there? Or is it sitting? Or it's internalizing? The amount of things I have learned is not going to be enough for this Janma for me to digest, but for many, many, many more such. And I'm only grateful that every time I get the opportunity, and I can immediately see it after that when I come back to my own and I'm in my room with my music after an experience working with them. I can feel it in my music. I can feel their presence. I can feel their ideas and all that I've learned. So I'm utmost grateful for all these experiences.
Ma'am, how do most of your days begin?
I wake up in the morning. I enjoy a hot cup of coffee, filter coffee,
Okay.
and then I sing for a while. I do my pranayama, and then sometimes when I'm bored with my own singing, I look for motivation in other forms of art from other musicians. Pretty much like any other student of music, I guess.
One milestone that you always dreamt of as a child and ended up accomplishing it.
It might not sound true, but I never had any milestones, Pratiksha. Um, when I came to my guru, all I wanted to do is learn everything. And my milestone in those days when he actively taught me was that when I go back to class next day, he says, "Okay, you have worked hard, you have practiced." That was my immediate milestone. And then he once told me very early in my performance career that you don't have to feel happy if your diary is full of concert dates. That's not an achievement. I didn't understand, but I knew there was some big truth in it. But now I understand. He said if there are gaps, it gives you that much time to breathe, to learn from your mistakes that you may have done, and to prepare for the next. So have only few dates full. The rest you keep for sadhana, for practice, for practice. So every time I went to him, he created these milestones and turns and twists and brought in a lot of perspective and value to all of it. So I don't think I dreamt of anything and it happened. But so much has happened. I'm so grateful.
Ma'am, you have conceptualized listening to life. So, can you tell us briefly about it and the inspiration behind it?
This coinage was given to me by my friend Maithili Chandrasekhar, and I liked it so much that when I thought of it, it was actually about how, as students of any form of art, we are inspired by so many things around us. It's not just one teacher, it's not just one kind of music, it's not one kind of art. But there are so many ways if you are like a sponge, which is the true quality of a good student, then you end up absorbing so many forms of beauty, which I was lucky to have had those impressions through my childhood, through my years in school and college, from several of my teachers who taught me so many things. So I wanted to adapt this entire experience of growing up with so many beautiful impressions into a concert. So in the concert Listening to Life, with a group of 14 wonderful musicians. Some of them are my students, and some of them are other musicians. I talk to them about this journey and how this journey actually results in the way I sing. How this journey of listening and absorbing and getting from great teachers, even people who are not your teachers, but you may just walk into them and they teach you something here or there. And then you end up, it becomes part of you without you realizing. Right. So it becomes part of your music then, because the music is only an extension of my personality. So this is what I briefly talk to the audience about. And also I kind of create relevant songs along that
Oh, wow.
journey.
Must be been a wonderful concert. Wish to probably see it sometime. Ma'am, you have collaborated with A.R. Rahman. So, what has been the best takeaway for you personally from this collaboration?
I think the whole world knows and celebrates his genius. He's someone who's very cool, very restrained, and he has this extraordinary quality of bringing out the best in the musician by making them one comfortable and but yet quietly letting them know that I need the best out of you. So I think he's someone we are celebrating and we should continue to celebrate.
Ma'am, you beautifully, in your talk, you said your mother initiated you not just to music, but also to different forms of beauty by constantly exposing you to maybe even the smallest of things. But those have had a long lasting impact on you in building your personality and building you as a musician. So, what is your message to young parents out there?
Yeah, I always say this little story of mine. That suppose the three of us, Pratiksha, Vaijayanti ji, and I, suppose we went to space, okay, and from space we looked at our beautiful Earth. It's going to be a nice green and blue mass, right? There'll just be lots of blue and water, and there'll be green everywhere. Maybe light brown, light green, dark green, light blue, dark blue, all of that, but just blue and green. But I don't think we will see those borders between countries. We will not see them because the universe didn't create them. So when I look at myself as a student of music, I want to be looking at all forms of music, as all forms of dance, as all form of art, like I saw the earth. No borders, no lines. But whatever is beautiful, whatever you can take, we can take only this much. We know that from the scriptures. How much are we going to take in this lifetime? But if we can take this much of everything and try to absorb it, then what comes out from us as the medium and an expression of the chosen instrument which God makes us, each one of us, to be, is very, very beautiful. So I'd urge parents not to tell their children that this is this music, hear this, don't hear this, see this, don't see this. Let them form their own opinions. Yes, you must show them the best. Yes, you must tell them that this is how you have to work to be there. But don't differentiate, disqualify. None of that.
Okay, so with this, we come to our last question of the rapid round. You were nominated for the Oscars for your lullaby, Life of Pi. Could you please sing a few lines from it for our viewers?
Sure. கண்ணே கண்மணியே கண்ணுறங்காயோ பூவே மயிலோ தோகை மயிலோ குயிலோ குயிலோ ராரோ ராரோ ராரோ
What a beautiful, soulful session that was, Jayashri ji. Thanks. And I'm sure that lullaby will remain with all our viewers as we end this session, which I really don't want to end. You have another question? I guess your expression.
There are two other questions, but I don't know if Ma'am wants to take it after the lullaby.
No problem. Please, please.
Ma'am, when you have sung on a particular deity, have you had an experience where you feel as though the God is there right in front of you, dancing or singing along with you?
You meant a particular deity when. Okay. I don't know, Pratiksha. Sometimes it is for me, the music itself is like a deity. The raga itself for me is like a devata. And of course, then there are the lyrics like, suppose I'm singing Krishnani Begane. For me, the Yamuna Kalyani becomes a bigger devata than even the devata that Kanakadasa so fondly speaks about. So it's toying between both the devatas. There are so many. The swara becomes a devata, the tala becomes a devata. The Mishra Chapu in which Krishnani Begane, if I take that as an example, the gate of the Mishra Chapu, that becomes a devata. So there are so many devatas dancing over there.
I can't hear you.
You have another question or it's done? You said two more questions, right?
No, there was a request to sing a lullaby. I think that's it. Sorry, I'm yet to locate. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Jayashriji. It was lovely having you, and I think I truly felt every bit of your talk and your lovely soulful singing.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
This is the magic of the voice, more than the voice, the magic of the heart. What the heart has, the bhava, flows, the thoughts, the music, and everything begins to dance. No wonder I feel so nice that I chose such a beautiful quote which goes so much with her. Virtue is the strongest stem of man's nature, and music is the blossom of virtue. Thank you, viewers, and I hope you truly enjoyed it as much as I did. And tomorrow we have with us in the Turning Point series Sri Nagabharna, who's my guru in theatre. He's a theatre personality, film director, producer, actor, and he heads the Kannada Puradhikara. So see you all tomorrow, same time.